and welcome to Hot Girl Perspective, your go-to glow up podcast. I'm your host Valena, here to help you become the best, hottest, most confident version of yourself. We are finally at the last episode of our second month and of our first mini series, the Hot Girl Glow Up Guide. If you have been consistent and have listened to the other 3 parts of this series, I hope it's been helping you out and that you feel good about yourself. I hope you have been following through whatever is mentioned in those episodes. If you haven't done that yet, go back and listen to them. I'm sure you're gonna love them. In this final episode of the series, we are going to talk about a girl's social life, her relationships, her friendships, when she walks into her room, what's her energy in a social setting, and all of those things. So basically kind of a starter kit for when you're in any social situation, whether it's between 3 people or between 30 people, but just how a glow-up version of yourself would behave. I have kind of just divided this into a list system. Can you tell that I love making lists and pointers because a lot of our episodes have been that? So I have divided the episode into certain pointers that I just want to talk about, like certain topics. So we're just going to go with that. I don't really know what to call them because they're not exactly tips or hacks or anything like that, but just topics. So the first one is that a social version of you, or the version of you who steps out of the house, is somebody who is always putting herself out there, or at least most of the times. She is allowing herself to be in new situations, to experience new things, and to just step out of the house. She goes out. I think that that's a big one. For me at least, because I really had to push myself to just be out. And I can tell you that going out is so much more fun than staying in. Now, I get it, on some days the preferences are different, but in general, when we're talking about having a glow up, bettering our personalities, learning more about life and learning more about ourselves, all of these experiences and all of these lessons don't come from being inside your house. So yes, to glow up, you're gonna have to go outside. The second one is having very, very clear boundaries. The glowed up version of you, the next level of you, has clear set boundaries, whether it's with her friends or with herself or acquaintances or her boyfriend. It's with everybody. And I think that it can take some amount of time to really get clear on what boundary you do want and how you want to kind of establish them. But throughout it, just try to remember that as soon as you try to set some boundaries or set some limits with any person in your life ever, they are going to have a little patch of difficult time where they're trying to adjust to the new you. That might not necessarily mean that they're bad for you or that they don't want you to grow, but it's just gonna be a bit difficult for them to adjust to change. And I think that that's with anybody. Even if your boyfriend or best friend or whoever just comes up to you and they're suddenly kind of acting a little different, they're setting some boundaries for themselves, you can see it, but you're still just confused, like why is it coming up out of nowhere? Like, how am I supposed to act? So it can be like that, but that's all right as long as they're not just being utterly rude about it or not even trying to understand that you're trying to do something good for yourself. And you need to make these boundaries sitting with yourself and realizing what makes you feel good. And it can also be dependent on any of the past experiences you've ever had in your life. Like, I'm sure you've had experiences with friendships in past where a girl said something about you and maybe you took that joke and went ahead with it, but then later on when you got at home, you were kind of disappointed in yourself, like, why did I let somebody speak to me like that, even if it's my own friend? This is just a random example. So from that experience, you can kind of, take out a lesson that, okay, that's something that I did not like and I felt bad for myself and about myself and I did not speak up. So that's a boundary. Anybody cannot talk to me like that. Like, no matter who it is, that's not something that I want to be accepting in my energy or for myself. At the end of the day, your inner child and you in general is with you, and you are the one who's responsible for taking care of that soul or that person or that child. So you have to be clear what kind of energy, what kind of words, what kind of situations you want to allow for that inner child. Like, imagine 5-year-old you with Barbie wings and a wand or whatever. She is your responsibility. So you need to be very careful about what you're allowing in her perimeter. And I think that that can really help you guide yourself in coming up with new boundaries. And also when you're kind of affirming them, then you don't have to be rude about it or be defensive about it. This is something I have done, I think. But you don't have to be like that. It can be gentle. It can be subtle. Even if you want to be direct, that's all right, but maybe put in some time and effort in choosing the right words so the other person does not feel like you're offending them or pushing them out of your lives. Nothing has to be like that, but just kind of portray it as, which is the truth, that you're trying to do something better for yourself, and this is the step in that. So how this applies in other social situations is, what kind of people maybe do you want to get involved with? Do you let just anybody make fun of you? Do you just cross boundaries with some people that your higher self wouldn't do? The next point is that the glowed up version of you when it comes to his social lives is somebody who does not just say yes to invites but also hosts. I think that that is such a game changer and just such a twist in a person's life or just life movie. I realized last year that I've never ever done that, and I know that I can plan a great party. Like, can you imagine? I mean, I hope so, but can you imagine, like, all things cute and everything put out aesthetically, you've sent out cute invites, your friends are gonna come over, and then you host? Like, the next version of ourselves when it comes to our friends and like a social circle, it's, we're not just a participating member, like we're not just like a secondary person there. We can also be the person who hosts, who invites, who decides, you know? So this year or the next few days, maybe think of some parties that you want to host. You could host a sleepover, you could host a themed drinks night. Basically, you're the person who's inviting other people. And that's such a switch, not just for other outer materialistic things, you know, because you get to decorate, you get to decide everything and it's in your control, but also about, you realize that you can be the dominant person, you know, like you can be in control, you can be the main character in your own life. All of the parties in your life do not have to be parties to which you were invited. They can be parties that you hosted. Maybe this is just too big for me, but I just never thought about it like that. I have always just been focused on, like, wherever I'm going to somebody's place, somebody's party, some club because somebody else invited me. It's always been that. But you can also take the initiative. That's what I'm trying to say. You can also take initiative, and when you do that, it's gonna kind of trickle into the other aspects of your life. Because when you realize that, oh, I did this, I took control, I can take initiative, I can do it first. Not that it's a race with anybody else, I'm just talking first as in just in reference to yourself. You don't have to be just the one saying yes or no at all times. You can create new opportunities, new parties, new memories for yourself. And then this kind of goes into other phases and aspects of your life where you realize, I don't have to wait for some opportunity to reach to me. I can go seek it out. I can create it. Let's talk about the vibe that your glowed up version would probably aim for her friendships. We of course want girls around us who are supportive. We don't want girls around us who act supportive and are not in real life, or they know that maybe you're reaching a big milestone in your life and like they're present in your life, you talk to them, but they're not the one to congratulate you. They're not the one to kind of say that they're proud of you or be involved in your success, and they're just kind of on the sidelines. That's not a friend you want, because that's not even a friend actually. When you put yourself in those situations, I'm sure that if your friend was achieving something big in her life or hit a milestone that's big for her, maybe, I am so sure that you would maybe go out of your way to call her up and say congratulations, or go out on a coffee date, or do something and just be present and show them that you support them. So if you have friends in your life that are just there, they don't add value, they don't take value, like if they're just there, then I don't think that they need to be a big priority, because we want people around us who nurture us, who support us, who help us grow. Another quality would be confidence. It is true that you are gonna become like the people who you are surrounded by. I have seen that for myself too many times, and I have seen that for other people too many times. So you want to spend most of your time with people who are at least somebody who inspire you, if not who are better than you in the aspects of life that you want to reach. Like if you're hanging out with people who have already achieved some part of the goals that you have, or who have experience in that, you want to be surrounded by them. You want to be surrounded by people who are doing a bit more or a lot more than you, so that you reach that level. If you surround yourself with people who are not confident, who are maybe not that ambitious as you are, who are basically on a different path in life, then you're gonna be swayed to go onto that path of life. And it happens subconsciously and it happens over time. And by the time it happens, you won't even realize that that's something that you didn't want to happen. It just happens. And by that time, you're like, it's fine actually, like I choose this, you know? So you want to be around people who are confident, who go out, who say yes, who have goals, who are as determined as you. And when you're in that energy, you realize that these are the kind of people that I am competing with in a healthy way, that this is the level that I want to reach. It can inspire you, it can motivate you. So you want to do that. I think it's really important to have friends who are gonna hype you up, who are gonna support you, who see your determination and your love for your goals, and who have the same feeling for their goals. Next, when it comes to relationships, your next level self is so sure of herself. She is so stable and strong in her own self that any relationship, any boyfriend is there for only love, not as somebody who you're leaning on because you feel underconfident in yourself. She is not desperate in it. She is so loving and she is vulnerable and she is open and she lets the boyfriend be that as well. You support each other, you nurture each other, but none of you is desperate, and definitely not you. Because as soon as you are that, when you're desperate for the love, desperate for the attention, where you feel like it's all going to be taken away from you, where you feel like you don't have enough inside of yourself to keep that person, then that's not the right place to be in when it comes to being in a relationship. And I have definitely done that, and I'm working on it, and maybe I have worked a lot on it, but it's a journey, and it's not about being 100% right like tomorrow or the next hour, but it is about acknowledging these things and acknowledging the energy that you're coming with, and at least trying to do better whenever it happens. Whenever you're dealing with any kind of relationships, you know, right now I'm not just talking about the dating kind, but any kind of relationships, you really have to go with your gut and your core, because you instantly get the feeling if a person or if a situation or a relationship is making you feel loved and happy and good in your life, or if it's making you feel kind of queasy and that's not what you want. Like, you're always going to have that feeling in your core, and you have to listen to that. You have to take care of your inner child, and you have to be there for her. You have to be the one protecting her and taking care of her and making sure that she's surrounded by people who love her. Relationships, friendships, social situations can of course have a lot of different situations that you're in. To give advice for every single situation, every single particular situation is of course not possible, but what I can tell you is to go with your gut. When something is happening, maybe a tiny argument, maybe somebody is making a plan, you don't want to go, but you're gonna have to say yes because your friends are going, like, these are the places where you listen to yourself. Like, inside you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to go there, I don't have a good feeling. You don't have to go. Don't feel pressurized into doing something just because other people are doing it. You have to listen to yourself. Maybe you don't want to go clubbing, you want to go sit in the garden. Or maybe you don't want to go sit in the garden, you want to go to the club. Like, do what you think is going to make you feel better, and you don't have to feel pressurized in keeping certain relationships or friendships going just because they've been there for a long time. If they are no longer adding value to your life, then I don't think that they're worthy of getting a lot of value from you or taking a lot of time and effort from your side either. Because we've got like one life. You have to be happy in it. I want you to do what feels right. I want you to do things for your inner self to make yourself happy and have fun and be excited and be vulnerable. Like, that's okay, but at the same time not be stupid, you know? I know that this could have been kind of vague, but I do think that the people who need to hear all of this will get it completely and exactly. This is the end of this mini series that we have called the Hot Girl Glow Up Guide. I really hope that you guys had fun listening to these episodes and you're doing better when it comes to self-confidence and self-love and just being clear about what you want in life. All of these episodes are honestly all you need to show up as a better version of yourself. If you love the series, then definitely leave a rate and review. I am so excited to read them. We are going to be coming up with more fun and some new type of episodes next time. I am trying to come up with things that you guys would like more. I'd love to hear your suggestions, so you can DM me on Instagram, comment on YouTube, leave a review here, whatever feels good to you. I'd suggest putting all of these things on in the background while you're doing your makeup. for more girly and best friend vibes. We are already done with 2 months of the podcast. I love you guys so much, and I am so excited that this is still going on and we're being consistent, and I am just so excited for even the next episode. I'll talk to you next week with better content coming up, with more girl talks, more advices, and just fun things. Bye.